We have breaking news in the NHL. The New Jersey Devils finally have a new bench boss, and it's former Leafs coach Sheldon Keefe. We'll discuss his coaching record, what this means for the team, and their decision coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some breaking news. Former Toronto Maple Leaf bench boss Sheldon Keefe has found himself new employment. He's now the new bench boss for the New Jersey Devils. Of course, Sheldon Keefe spent parts of 5 seasons with the Maple Leafs at the NHL level. A few years prior to that, coaching their American Hockey League affiliate, the Toronto Marlies, where he was an American Hockey League Calder Cup championship coach. During his time in Toronto, he went with a record of 212, 97, and 40. Gives him a .665 winning percentage. Hard to imagine a coach with that good a record not keeping his job, but the problem wasn't the regular season for Toronto and Sheldon Keefe. It was the playoffs. In 5 playoff appearances under Sheldon Keefe, they had 1 series win. They followed that up with a second round terrible loss to the Panthers, and they come back this year, lose in the first round to their rival, the Boston Bruins. So it was time for a change, time for a new voice in Toronto and a new approach. Sheldon Keefe will run into a lot of similar stuff, I think, in New Jersey. They have a very similarly built team to some extent, not exact, but they have a lot of young, skilled, talented players, which is what he's used to working with. Obviously, look at Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, lots of younger players with tons of skill. So that much we do know. Goaltending certainly was an issue this past year. Asking too much of the young decor, while some of the veteran guys like Hamilton were out injured. So clearly Tom Fitzgerald, the GM, has some work to do to tweak the roster a bit. They definitely have a few areas they need to address for sure. But Sheldon Keefe will bring a good amount of experience. Most coaches are better the second time around. I know when his last press conference as Leafs bench boss, he took accountability, saying that essentially they didn't get the job done, and that's on him. Personally, I would have liked to have seen more Leaf players take accountability, because you didn't really hear that. You didn't really hear Marner, Matthews, Nylander. He doesn't really come out and say, like, I wasn't good enough, I need to be better. This is, like, the players, to me, were not taking enough accountability, which ultimately I think is why they went the direction they did with their new bench boss and Craig Berube. He's certainly going to do a good job of holding them accountable. And in all honesty, if Sheldon Keefe had one area to take away from his time in Toronto that I think he should focus on doing better in New Jersey, it probably would be a big part of that is accountability. I don't know how many times we heard him come out and critically make comments about some of the top stars, and then he'd walk it back. Some of these star players, especially the ones in Toronto, it just seemed like there was a lot of sensitivity, and you couldn't say anything. And holding them accountable, to me, that was definitely part of the problem. So I hope that he's learned and will do better. It'd be good for him to be away from the Leafs, away from Kyle Dubas, and just kind of venture out on his own to see what he can do. He does show lots of great qualities as a great coach. There have been times in the playoffs where I thought he was out-coached as well. But you know what? He's still learning. He's still a younger coach. He's still first-time head coach in the league. I would think that he's been able to hopefully take all that experience and turn himself into a better coach. Now, we know there's some other experienced coaches in the mix in New Jersey. They reportedly did speak to Todd McCullough as well. And obviously, I think at one point they did speak to Berube. I don't know where things broke down there. Maybe Berube didn't really love the job and want to take it. To me, I think he was holding out to see if there was an option in Toronto. That's just my gut feeling, because he did talk to a few other teams, and it just wasn't there. Then, of course, they talked to Travis Green before he took the full-time job in Ottawa. He was their interim head coach to finish out the season after they parted ways with Lindy Ruff. And, obviously they weren't completely sure on Green. And, well, here we are. So Sheldon Keefe is the guy. After much deliberation, this is where we stand. So I think for the most part, I think Keefe will be a good coach there. I think this is a good hire. But I do hope for it to be a more successful in the playoff type of run for him, that he certainly, a second time around, needs to get a little bit better and certainly learn from some of those things that, were part of the problem in Toronto, for sure. Although, like I said, a lot of the issues in Toronto were not necessarily the coach. A lot of it was the players not getting the job done, but I think the coach could have held him more accountable. So we'll see how he does the next time around. Let me know your thoughts on Sheldon Keefe being the new bench boss for the New Jersey Devils down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.